cautiously stepping further into her personal space. She tipped her head back so she wouldn't be staring at his pectorals, regretting it when the room began spinning. When it finally stopped, she narrowed her eyes in an effort to focus. He wasn't someone she recognized or even someone she'd normally enjoy flirting with. She just wasn't into guys who bathed in cheap cologne, athletes, or guys who wore jeans so tight they might as well be denim-painted skin. Nor was she impressed with the way he rolled up the sleeves of his red t-shirt, sporting a white Lobos logo to emphasize his biceps. In her experience, he was the type of person who thought a cute smile would land him anyone he chose. A point he proved when he smirked and lowered his head, making clear his intention. She jerked her head to the side, so instead of her mouth, his lips grazed her cheeks, and so did his tongue. A chill raced over her skin, making her shiver. She simply wasn't in the mood to fend off his unwanted advances. "I have to go find my friend." When had her tongue grown to twice its size? Mixing alcohol with the cold medicine she'd taken as a precaution before leaving must be screwing with her more than she thought. Nothing about this felt right. Athlete guy raked his eyes down her body and back up, pausing the longest on her chest, head cocked to the side as his tongue snaked out and swiped across his bottom lip. "I can be your friend, baby. I can be your real good friend." Amusement gave his voice an almost lyrical quality. Keeping his grip tight on her arm, he took 3 steps back and collapsed onto the couch, tugging so that she toppled onto the cushion beside him. He forced her back, crushing her between his chest and the arm of the sofa. Anger and panic wormed its way through the fuzz in her head as he swatted away her efforts to shove him away. A cold sweat broke out over her skin, and tears sprang to her eyes when his calloused palms snaked up her thigh, shoving her skirt higher as he did. She swallowed and concentrated on making her mouth form the word "stop" as he traced his lips along her neck and over the shell of her ear, his alcohol and pot-fueled breath hitting her face and sending a wave of nausea through her. Heart hammering, she jerked her head away, causing the headache sitting just behind her eyes to send a slashing pain through her skull. "Let go of me right now or I'll scream." She barely managed to move the threat past her frozen throat. With a sound of contempt, the guy shoved her away and stood, towering over her. Eyes narrowed, he made a point of slowly taking in every inch of her bared skin. "A bit of advice, babe. If you're not willing to sell it, don't advertise." He threw a final glare over his shoulder before he disappeared into the crowd. Rachel pressed the heel of her hand against her chest, convinced her heart was trying to escape. She really wished she'd stayed home instead of listening to Anna. Which reminded her, she still had to find her friend if she was ever going to get out of this place. She swiveled her head to the stairs. Was it her imagination, or had the distance increased since she'd last seen them? With an effort, and after 2 tries, she managed to push herself up from the couch, but as she forced her way through the throng of bodies and loud voices, she found herself turned around and in the kitchen. Since it wasn't as crowded in here, she took a second to take a full breath that didn't include inhaling copious amounts of cheap cologne and flowery perfume. Exhaling slowly, she rested her head against the wall. She hadn't been this miserable at the height of her cold. It didn't make sense that 2 beers had made her feel this out of it. Hell, that rarely even gave her a good buzz. And standing here wasn't getting her any closer to home, so she forced her feet to move. Keeping her eyes on the open doorway and one hand on whatever it could find, she was halfway across the kitchen when a tall guy with a massive chest bumped into her, almost knocking her down as well as blocking her path.